the result of a knee injury. Quite a young man, only 30 as we speak. He was doing quite well with Manchester United and England. He was in forced retirement. It was obviously quite a blow. And he talks about it in detail in Touch and Go, which is written with journalist Bob Harris and is published now by Collins Willow. You can talk to Steve Coppell this morning by ringing 353-8111, 353-8111. Before we talk about your knee, Steve, how are things at Crystal Palace?
Yes, we've had quite a good start. Quite pleasing last night. We got through the Milk Cup first round, and we'll be seeded to play against what for us will be a big boy in the second round. We either get a first division club or a top second division team. So that's quite good. We started quite well in the league, although we did have a hiccup on Saturday. We got beat by Huddersfield at home.
Yes.
But a lot better than this time last year when I first took the job.
But these good starts to a season can be deceptive, can't they?
Well, it's a lot better than a bad start. We had last year, first 15 games we only had 11 points. And to start from that situation was terrible, especially for myself being a new manager. So I'm obviously a lot happier this season, where we've got 7 points from 4 games.
Talk more a bit later about being a manager. I want to go back to talk about the nasty bit, the injury. I mean, obviously from the way you've written about it, you remember it in vivid detail. Not exactly the incident, because I think you found that a bit difficult to remember. You had to actually see it on a video. But you must remember what was going on at the time.
Yeah, the actual tackle itself, when I did the damage to the knee, was a complete blur. I just remember the Hungarian coming in to tackle me, and then I just got the sensation of my knee exploding. And from then onwards, I just had this mirror image in my mind of him tackling me, and my left leg, which is the one I injured, being planted in the ground and twisting somehow. But when I actually saw it on the video, it must have been over a year later, and my left leg actually swung round like a hurdler, and it was totally different from what I thought. And the rehabilitation obviously is a long and painful, drawn-out process, and that is, I'm afraid, all too vivid in the memory. But having made the decision to retire, it's gone now.
Well, you feel if you go back now, do you? But it was quite a long time before you realised how serious it was.
Well, the problem was I did the injury in a World Cup qualifying game just before the World Cup in Spain, and it was very much an important goal to me to go to Spain and play in the World Cup. And perhaps I blanked out the problems I was having playing for United to make sure I went to Spain. In hindsight, if I'd stopped playing straight away and had the knee examined, then perhaps I might be playing now. But I don't know. I think if I got to thinking about that too much, then I would be bitter and twisted about it.
Was it a violent tackle?
It wasn't too good. The man that I was playing against, his name was Toth. I remember him quite well. He's the type of fullback I enjoyed playing against. He was quite physically abrasive, and I felt quite comfortable playing against him. And I can still remember him now sort of lunging in to tackle me, and I honestly thought I was clear of the challenge. But he must have just clipped me as I was going by him.
You're not very big, and I mean, generally, soccer players aren't, on average, very big, but there are some big men that you've got to cope with. Has that ever been something that you always had to have in the back of your mind, watch out for the big one?
No, the big ones you can usually see coming. It's the small nippy ones who were as quick as me. They were the ones I had problems with. In terms of injuries, the knee injury that put me out was more or less the only injury I had in my career. I went 4 seasons at United without missing a game, which was a record I was quite proud of. And it seems almost ironic that having gone so long without an injury, I had one very serious injury which did put me out of the game.
Can you remember the moment when you were told, I'm afraid, mate, you've got to give it up?
Well, yes, it's something that I'd more or less second-guessed myself for quite a long time. I had played after, I had 3 knee operations, and after each operation it did deteriorate a little bit more, and all the time in the back of my mind I knew I wasn't going to get back to the player I was, and I knew I couldn't play perhaps as well as I had been. So my final operation was a make or break, and when I did come round from the anaesthetic, the surgeon who I'd got to know quite well, he just said to me, it's as we guessed, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to have to advise you to finish. And even though I'd been expecting it, and anticipating it. I couldn't really accept it, and to be totally honest, I did just break down in floods of tears for a day or so, and it was very painful to come to terms with.
Had you ever thought before the injury, what life would hold for you after you stopped playing?
Yeah, well, looking into the future, while I was playing, I was going into my own accountant's office and helping him out, just to get some kind of business knowledge. I've got a degree in economics, and I wanted to keep going academically and use my brain. Because being a footballer, you do get a lot of spare time, a lot of free time, which you can all too easily just waste. But I wanted to take advantage of my spare time. I went into his office, and in terms of a sort of game plan, I wanted to play for as long as I could, which I envisaged going right down the divisions and playing in the Northern Premier League or whatever until I literally couldn't play any longer. And I envisaged going into some kind of business career. I don't know what, but I wanted to do something.
But you've obviously been thinking about the future.
Yeah.
Do you miss playing now?
Occasionally, yes. I miss silly things like when England games come around. I miss that involvement.
Because you didn't quite make your ambition. You wanted 50 caps. You got, what was it, 42?
42, yes. Yeah. Two things I perhaps didn't achieve was winning the league championship medal with United, which would have been very dear to me.
Yeah.
And having played so many times for England, I think 50 would have been a good landmark.
You indicated earlier that your knee really doesn't give you any problems now, and you feel as though you could be back playing. Is it that trouble-free?
Well, no, not really. It lets me know. If I do too much training with our lads, it just lets me know, and I know I've got to cut back for a day or so and just give it a complete rest.
Well, I'll make sure somebody's here to help you back up the strength.
Thank you.
We'll take some telephone calls in just a moment if you'd like to talk to Steve Coppell, 3538111. After you came from Hampstead is Dave. Hello, Dave.
Yes, good morning.
Go ahead.
I'm a Canadian broadcaster, Steve, and was very heavily involved in sports overseas in Canada. And I was just wondering, from your viewpoint, what would you perceive the overall view of British soccer, say, overseas and perhaps in North America, with what problems have been going on so far? What is your overall view?
Well, without doubt, football worldwide has got a tarnished image at the moment. The problems in Brussels and Bradford hasn't helped anybody, and with Canada and North America going through a very sticky time in trying to establish the game, I think football has a responsibility, especially from the top European countries, to put on its best face this year, especially with World Cup coming up.
Is this a crossroads year, you feel? Is this
very
a
much so.
make-or-break situation?
Very much so. There's so many people in this country whose living depend on professional football. The gates are down an awful lot this year. There is a conscious effort. Speaking to managers, as I have done so far this season, all the managers are trying to entertain as much as possible. Nobody's trying to moan and drag the game into the gutter the way it has been this summer. And as I say, with the World Cup coming up, if it's a successful, happy, entertaining World Cup, then I think football worldwide can benefit and bring back so many of the people who have...
Steve, what about Palace itself? I would think a few years ago attendances were very good at Crystal Palace. What about promotion, say, internally for soccer teams in the London area and in England in general? Does that have to be improved to get the support back?
Yeah, I think that again is an effort that everybody in football is making a conscious effort about. All the players and managers are trying to put on, as I say, the best face. The big problem at the moment is perhaps the media are very sensitive about so many things concerning football, and it grieves me a little bit when you pick up the Sunday papers, and not only do you get a report on the game, but you also get a report on the crowd as regards their behaviour.
Well, it's the crowd's fault, isn't it? I mean, if you go, it's chicken or egg, but I think we eventually have to get back to the chicken probably being the crowd behaviour attracted the news, and then it became part of reporting. Maybe the lack of television coverage, certainly at this stage, is going to help a little bit.
Yes, that might be a good thing. But having said that, I think football and TV do go in tandem.
Yes, because I understand attendances have gone down.
Yeah, I think they would have gone down anyway. If the football had been on television, I think they would have gone down anyway. How much? It's hypothetical. an agreement is made with TV, and I'm reasonably confident that sooner or later it will be.
Is there a decision being made today, which will be quite important as to whether there's going to be any coverage?
I'm not sure, Brian, but I'm sure it will be made in the not too distant future. And I think television is very aware that it depends on football a little bit, and football to a great extent depends on television. I think, as I say, they should be good bed partners.
Dave, are you a fan of the game?
Very much so.
And
Yes.
is it popular in Canada?
Well, to give you an idea, Brian, there is a show that I think about 2 weeks old that comes over from the UK that is shown on Sunday in Canada, the highlights of British soccer, and I know for one that's very well looked at. I live in British Columbia, which does have a good degree of British support and Scottish fans there too. And I know for one that I don't miss it, even though I'm working on a Sunday afternoon. We flip it on the radio station where I work and watch what is going on. And I think, from my point of view, live broadcasting of sports has never been a detriment in North America. It's been, I would say, a very positive adjunct to the sport if it's done properly.
Yeah, I think the problem here is that it's at a time when there are all kinds of other problems as well, and so it's very difficult to cope with. I think most people would agree that good soccer live on television is good for the game, it's good for television and so on, but at the moment with tensions in all directions, we'll probably have to sort out one problem at a time. Thank you, Dave, very much. Glad to be of help in your research. Pam is calling next from Uxbridge.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Pam.
I'm a lifelong Palace supporter, travel to all the home and away games. In fact, the home games entail a journey of 60 miles, a round journey of 60 miles, but we wouldn't miss a game. I'm just ringing actually to say what, in my opinion, a good job you and Ian are doing at the moment. Seems that Palace has really got off to a good start this season. We are, in fact, in my opinion, seeing the best football we've seen at Selhurst Park for a few years. How exciting to watch the commitment that's there. It's something that's been lacking for a long time.
Well, that's very kind of you, that, Pam. I think it is a reward for everybody's hard work at Palace. Not only Ian and myself, but all the backroom people and all the people in the office. As I say, it was the team last year. We started off after 15 games. We only had 11 points, and it's hard when you've got a young team to instill confidence in those in that situation. I think this year, with a new start and a new challenge, and very important, the fact that we did win on our first game, I think it just literally filled everybody up, and everybody started walking a little bit taller, and a little bit prouder, and a little bit more confident, and I think we're seeing the benefit of that.
Do you think we should keep him on then, Pam, as manager?
Oh, definitely. Don't let it go.
Okay, right.
Thank you, Pam.
I'll send him straight back after the programme. Thank you very much. We'll talk to Matt in just a moment. Before we talk to Matt, we've leapt ahead to your being manager. Not every player, I suppose, could just move from being an injured player, moving off the field and become a manager. What is it that you... Now, that's perhaps asking you to blow your own trumpet too much. What made you think you could be a manager, or did somebody else tell you could?
No, I think I actually got the Crystal Palace job probably 9 months after I did officially retire. And in actual fact, that was over a year from when I played my last game for United. So it wasn't an instant decision. And to be quite honest, after I did finish, I spent 3 months in Amsterdam. I lived in Amsterdam for 3 months because I wanted to get away from the sort of environment I was living in to see what I did want to do with the rest of my life, because I realised that whatever decision I made was obviously crucial for the next 20, 30, 40 years, however long I live. So I spent 3 months in Amsterdam trying to sort myself out, and the one thing I missed every Saturday was the football. And every Sunday morning I used to get up early, go into the main shopping plaza in Amsterdam and buy the English papers. And all I did for a couple of hours was read the football.
Yeah.
So having been away for that length of time, I realised that it was something I had to get on my system. I had to do the job, or try and do the job to the best of my ability, because then I couldn't say in 15 years' time, well, I wonder if I could have been a football manager. So that sort of made it known on my return that I would like to stay in football. And I didn't really say as a manager, but I wanted to stay in football. And Ron Nodes at Crystal Palace made the very big decision to offer me the job.
It was a big decision for you whether to accept it or not too, wasn't it?
Well, no, yes and no. I wanted to stay in football, and to be totally honest, I didn't really have another job offer. I had one chance at Wigan to become chief executive, but I didn't really have a job description along with that. And when Ron offered the job to me, and I got a few phone calls probably warning me off the job, but I thought, well, why not?
Being manager kept you and keeps you close to the game.
Yes, very much.
It's the job in football, I suppose, that keeps you still very close to what's going on.
Yeah, football is a great career, and managing's probably second best.
Yeah. Matt is calling from Wimbledon. Hello, Matt.
Good morning, Brian. Hello, Steve.
Morning, Matt.
I'm ringing as a PE teacher, and I'd like to ask you, you followed through your education before you went to Manchester United and had a great career with them. I'd like to know whether now as a manager and you have responsibilities to the lads you take on as apprentices and what have you, the young players in the club, if you actively encourage them to carry on with their studying in case they have an injury or a sudden upset in their career like you did.
Yeah, we encourage them, and again, we don't really go overboard. Perhaps that might be a bad thing, but we do encourage them to go to college and pursue some kind of qualification. I was lucky in many ways in that I enjoyed school and I enjoyed university. A lot of the young lads who come to us as apprentices and YTS trainees, they can't wait to get away from school. They weren't very good, so it's very difficult to push them into doing something that they don't want to do. Again, I was lucky in that when I got sick of my football, I just concentrated on my studies. And when I got sick of my studies, I concentrated on my football. So the two worlds I had when I was at university really worked well for me. A lot of people say, how come you managed to combine the both? But I felt they worked brilliantly for me. But we do push them, we do encourage them. But for someone who set his heart on being a footballer and they're not very good academically, it's very hard to say to them, when you take a day off from doing your football training and try and get yourself an O-level in English or some kind of qualification in the sports field.
Yeah, they probably don't see the connection or the need.
No, they don't, and that's our biggest problem, trying to get that very fact over to them. And if you think these days where so many people who have got good qualifications, university qualifications, and they can't get good jobs, perhaps more so up north than down here in London, it's very difficult to try and say to a young lad, well, you get yourself O-level English and O-level maths, and you'll be safe if you don't make a career in football.
Matt, thank you very much for calling us. Steve, what is it about the game? I mean, somebody, I think probably, is a sportsman or he isn't. Then it's a matter of what kind of sportsman. Now, there is something special about the game of soccer. What is it, as far as you're concerned, that puts it above other games?
Well, I enjoy all sports. I enjoy competition in whatever I do, be it golf or swimming, anything I do. I think I enjoyed football more than anything else because it was the first sport I did when I was a lad at school. You played football in winter and cricket in summer, and there wasn't really the access either financially or geographically to go to sort of golf courses and squash courts and do all the things now which are open to almost every youngster, whatever area or whatever financial background he has. Football was sort of my first love as a sport, and it stuck with me very much so.
Who were, or for that matter, I suppose, who are your idols in the game?
Well, I was brought up in Liverpool, and Liverpool were always my heroes. Bill Shankly was probably my first hero, and his team, which came up from the second division and won the FA Cup in 1965, and he started the regime that is Liverpool today. And that Liverpool team, I was very lucky in that when I was at Tranmere, Ron Yeats was manager, Tommy Lawrence was a goalkeeper, Ian St John had just finished playing for Tranmere, Willie Stevenson was playing for Tranmere, so all my sort of boyhood heroes I was then playing with, and that was a great thrill for me. And Bill Shankly actually came to Tranmere and took over for a couple of games, so actually to work with him as a manager was different class.
And if I was the chairman of Crystal Palace and I said you've got unlimited money, you can spend as much as you like on whoever you like, who, looking around this country, would you buy first?
Well, I think first and foremost people like seeing goals, so I'd probably plump like Everton for somebody like Gary Lineker, a goal scorer. For a Jimmy Greaves, for such a almost poetic move like Jimmy Greaves when he scored
Well, I can't really give you the money, but we can all dream, can't we? And football managers can dream just as well as the rest of it. But things are going okay for Palace so far, so good luck.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for being with us today.
Very well.
Touch and Go, which is Steve's story, is now published by Collins Willow. It's 28 and a half minutes past 11.